name is Manny Steamweaver. I'm here to spend a little bit of time to introduce you to the boat, ship. I'm standing on the deck of a virtual representation. My avatar is standing on the deck, a virtual representation of a brig. A brig is not a ship. A brig is a two-masted, square-rigged vessel. A ship is a three-masted, square-rigged vessel. But the two share a lot in common, and most of the parts of the hull and the deck remain the same. So immediately to my avatar's right, you can see the cursor is the wheel of the ship. That replaced the tiller, and immediately behind that you'll notice is the main mast, and then the mast forward of the main mast is called the foremast. Foremast. Spinnaker is up this way, and the forecastle. This is a ship with a slightly raised forecastle, or forecastle, as sailors like to abbreviate it. To clip it. If this were completely without a step, that is, if the deck were to run, stem to stern on one level, it would be called a flush-decked vessel, a flush-decked brig, or a flush-decked ship. So the sailors before the mast. Here, let me back up a little bit here. Just get a better look at the vessel. So I'm standing, if there were a mizzen mast, a third mast right here, I would be standing on the quarterdeck. And the quarterdeck is the ideal place from which to navigate a sailing ship. The shipmaster, or the first mate, or the second mate, when those two are below deck, that is, would navigate the ship from this position. And you can see there's aft. We're calling this the main mast. You can see you got a very good look at the mast and the yards, and if the sails were unfurled, you would get a very good look at the sails. So this is a good spot from which to trim the sails, which is to adjust the yards, and basically adjust the angle of the yards and how much sail you unfurl, so that you can get the most movement out of the wind. Let's return to, there we go, and we'll turn my avatar around, and here we go. Okay, whoops, too hard, whoops. So the sailors before the mast would stay below deck in the forecastle over here. The saloon passengers, the cabin passengers, and the officers would stay below deck at the stern of the vessel, aft, and they would mingle among themselves, the officers and the cabin passengers, who would be generally drawn from the same class. They would be educated, and as opposed to the sailors who sailed before the mast, be less likely to be educated, and they would be working class, and the people behind here would be middle class, perhaps higher in social rank. And the ship would be organized in status in just that way, in just that manner, along the length of the ship. So if you go toward the toward the bow of the vessel, you would be lower in status than if you traveled further back. On a military ship, the midshipman would be right in between here, a midship. On a merchant ship, the idlers would be right here. The sailor, the carpenter, the cooks, and of course the able-bodied and the ordinary seamen and the boys would be up in this part of the vessel, the forecastle. Now the steerage passengers would also be often the steerage compartment would begin with the forecastle and travel aft to the saloon, the cabins. And if there were another deck below that, they would travel perhaps the length of the ship, the steerage passenger compartments. Now the forecastle sailors would not be permitted to go aft of the main mast, this mast right here. If they go aft of the main mast, they are breaking one of the boundary rules, and it's a very important boundary rule. Sailors are not permitted to go aft of the main mast unless expressly invited by an officer. If a sailor does go aft of the main mast, that would be viewed as a provocation, and the shipmaster and his mates, or the officers, would be getting their guns, because it's such a serious violation that they would think that they would be worried that what was happening was a mutiny. So the ways in which the spaces of the vessel are ordered to control the movement of sailors also functions as a kind of a security system. The mates and shipmaster know something is up when people violate their status and their role on the ship spatially. So I'm going to cut to a PowerPoint presentation to show the ship. And here you have a three-masted ship. You see the foremast, the mainmast, the mizzenmast, and a spanker here. And you notice there are extensions to these sails here. These are studding sails. So you have the mainsail, the topsail, the top gallant sail, and then I think the royal and the sky. And that follows. And you notice this one is partially furled so that the wind doesn't so that it doesn't block the mainsail on the foremast and the spanker back here. So I'm going to return to my avatar. Hello again. And I'm going to stop this presentation, and I'll see you again in just a little bit.